Daniel Jeremiah, sir. Where's Tony Romo going to wind up, do you think?
Wow, I think if I was going to look at a place, I think Chicago would probably be a place. I think Chicago, it's either going to be Romo or Garoppolo. That's the sense I get.
Really?
That's just the way I feel.
So, I mean,
where does he want to go? If I were Tony Romo, I'd want to go to Houston. That would be number one on my list.
Right, because he stays in state. His family doesn't have to be completely uprooted. He's ready to go. Every time I mention this to John McClain, he says, no chance.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, you look at what they're paying Osweiler. Who cares? I mean, it's the most important position. Carve out the money. They should be able to do that.
To be able to just keep both. Osweiler's the backup.
And then a year from now, you can
get rid of Osweiler.
Or maybe Romo doesn't stay healthy. I mean, wherever Romo goes, the contract to me has to be tied to his health. I mean, I don't have any question about his skills. It's just whether or not he can stay healthy.
Why do we keep hearing Kansas City?
Well, I think Andy. I've been around Coach Reed for a couple of years working there. He always, has an appreciation for the quarterback position, and I think he's always looking, to get better. And the question is, has he tapped, how far they can go with Alex Smith? I think Alex Smith takes a lot of undue criticism, but there is legitimate question: is he good enough to get you to that final step?
What about Denver? You think that's a possibility? That they hold off on Paxton Lynch anointing, or going further down the road with Trevor Siemian, that they pull another we're ready to win now situation with a veteran quarterback?
I don't know. I think, to me, Tony Romo, with the health issues he had behind the best offensive line and a great running game,
right?
You go in Denver behind that group, they've got some holes they need to shore up for him to be successful there.
What do you think Dallas does? Release him, trade him? What's the end game scenario here?
I mean, obviously Romo would like to be released. I think if you're Dallas, you got to try and find a way where you can get something. I mean, there's just...
And also prevent him from winding up in the conference.
Yeah,
right?
See, my thing
Get him
is...
to the AFC.
And I've argued, I don't think Jerry Jones would want him in the state either, even though Houston's in the AFC.
Right.
I think he'd prefer to get him... a place like Chicago, probably Jerry Jones would be just fine with that.
But what about Romo? Would he want to go to Chicago? I know he's an Eastern Illinois guy. I know that's where he grew up, the area near where he grew up. Do you think he'd want to go? I mean, with the closing window of opportunity that John Fox's Bears are ready to win in the next year or two?
Well, I think you have some things you can sell him on that maybe people don't see from the outside. But you've got a pretty good group of offensive linemen there. You've got three guys, especially in the interior, need to add a tackle. If you could get Alshon Jeffrey re-signed, you've got a back that was second in the league in rushing, and Jordan Howard is just going to get better. So they have a really good young front seven. So there's some there. I don't think that Chicago team's quite as bad as their record might indicate.
So Cutler, where does he wind up?
That's the great mystery. I have no idea. I mean, it would seem to be like the place where he would end up would be your Jets.
Don't say that.
Just because it would
Why
be
is everybody
it would just be dysfunction.
Because it makes sense.
It would just be total dysfunction.
Why does it make sense? It's the worst idea in the world.
That's why it makes sense.
It's the worst idea in the world. So what?
And Jay is still one of the 25 best ones in the league right now.
Jay Cutler is a high-quality quarterback in terms of his skill set.
Yep.
Okay. There's no question about his skill set, correct?
Huge arm.
Okay,
every
right.
Throw.
And has the ability to win football games in the NFL.
Yeah.
Got it. But the minute he has a 2-3 interception performance, and those happen for him, when there's one, there's usually two, and when there's two, there's usually three, and when there's three, there's definitely four. He has one of those games and shows up to the podium once and does the I don't care routine with his body language and, wiping his face and just going, I got to play better. I just got to do better. Does the rote Cutler response that gives off the impression he does not give two you-know-whats. It's over in New York City. He can't pull that in New York City. But he can't.
Aren't you just the tiniest bit curious to see what the Post would do with the headlines?
Oh, God, no, please, come on. It's you and Charles Davis did the same. I mean, you're just really enjoying
Marshall
this.
and Matt Forte reuniting with Jay Cutler.
Oh, God.
I mean, the chemistry there is off the charts.
Off the
Cutler,
charts.
Brandon Marshall. Let's do it all.
Let's do it
Come
again.
on, let's get it all.
Let's go to Broadway.
Really, Cutler? No, I mean, no, but no, seriously.
I don't know where he would end up. To me, like a place I think would be good for him, which I'm sure he would never want to do, would be to go behind, a Rivers or an Eli. Go sit behind one of those guys for a year, who are in their upper 30s, and maybe eventually
he's
they
not
could
going to do that.
Well, you mentioned Garoppolo in Chicago. What about a trade where he goes and sits behind Brady for a year? And then he becomes the 5-year solution for the New England.
Yeah. How do you like him on the Patriots, Brockman? You want him?
Wait, what did you just propose?
No, he's just saying if you're going to sit behind anybody, why not sit behind a 40-year-old who might be done in a year?
Great value for Garoppolo on the trade.
And get who? Jay Cutler?
Yeah.
Yes, your
what
backup.
do you think?
Jay Cutler's in his 30s. What is wrong with you?
Kind of don't like that idea. Now, do you? Fine for me. For you, it's dog poop.
You don't have a solution at quarterback.
Yes, we do.
Now.
Yes, we do. His name, way to lead me to it, is Christian Hackenberg. Worst. Okay. I now have a list of quarterbacks available in this year's draft.
Okay.
You tell me if this person would be drafted higher or behind Christian Hackenberg if Hackenberg was in this draft class.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Mitch Trubisky.
I would go Trubisky.
You go Trubisky above Hackenberg.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll give you who I would have first or second. Oh, we got a nice little laughter.
Oh, yeah, that's Brent Musburger from the other day. Deshaun Kaiser.
I would go Kaiser
over Hackenberg.
If
Hackenberg was available in this year's draft.
Correct.
Let's go to Deshaun Watson.
I would go Deshaun Watson
over Christian Hackenberg.
And all three of these guys are in your top 30.
Yeah, they're top 32.
Top 32.
Of my top 50 list.
Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes of Texas Tech.
Oh, man,
by the way, tough. this was Brockman's proudest moment on Twitter in the last couple of weeks, at least, when you tweeted out video of Mahomes like winging it sidearmed with bad form and bad balance in the pocket.
It only reminded me of one guy.
And who was that?
Jay Cutler.
Which is fine for me, not good for you.
Future Patriot backup, Jay Cutler. Yeah.
And you agreed with him.
Some of the stuff off script, it's like you don't know how to describe
so
what
Pat
you're saying.
Mahomes above or behind Hackenberg?
You know what? Pat Mahomes is not there yet, but I think tool-wise I have more to work with Pat Mahomes.
Oh, fantastic.
Now you're just saying this to say this.
No, he's not. Davis Webb, your Cal quarterback. You take him over Hackenberg?
I gave honesty here. I gave Davis Webb the same grade as Christian Hackenberg, but I would go with Davis Webb.
I'm going to be sweetly vindicated here the next 2 seasons.
You're definitely not.
Who do we go with now? Miami's QB, Brad Kaya. What do you got?
Golly, I think I'll go Hackenberg.
We finally found one.
Yep.
So Hackenberg is ranked 6th right now in your quarterback class for 2017. Okay, let's keep going. Nate Peterman of Pittsburgh.
I go Peterman.
Josh Dobbs of Charles Davis's Tennessee Volunteers.
I love CD, but I'd probably go Hackenberg.
Okay. Chad Kelly of Ole Miss.
Clean off the field, I'd go Chad Kelly. But I'll go.
Let's talk about this a little bit while we have about a minute left for you. Is this because they think it's patently unfair that he's not invited to the combine?
Well, I have my look from a personnel standpoint. The guys that have had issues off the field, it's for convenience. It's great to have them at the combine because you can get them all cycled around. All this is going to do by not inviting some of these guys to the combine is going to put them on airplanes going to 30 different cities to meet with these teams,
which is counterproductive for what the combine's all about.
Yeah.
Is this the incident with his brother who he got into a fight with a high school kid?
He's had a bunch of, he was at Clemson initially, and there's some stuff that went on there.
All right, so who would you put above Christian Hackenberg in this year's class? Who haven't mentioned?
That's a pretty good group there of guys. I would say maybe the one that's interesting would be close to Virginia Tech quarterback, Evans.
Okay.
It's interesting.
And the last one for you, because we have here of the first Super Bowl 52 prop bet already out there. Tom Brady wins his 6th Super Bowl, or Christian Hackenberg starts a game for any of the 32 teams in the NFL between now and what's the better chance?
We're just saying one Super Bowl?
Just one more Super Bowl.
I'll go Tom Brady.
I see what you're trying to do. I admire it.
Cannot wait to ask this question of Tom Brady when Michael Chiklis brings Tom Brady along in hour number 3.
Can't wait.
Barking up the wrong tree, Rich.
Nicely done.
Barking up the wrong tree.
Thanks for coming on, DJ.
No
I know
problem,
you got to run. Daniel Jeremiah here.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.